We're live. We're live. Hello and welcome to Hellbent Live. Let us know you can see us and hear us, and we will get started with the show. Trying to see who's on here. Oh, look at us. We look very cool on here now.
We do look very cool. My beard looks especially white tonight.
We're working with some lighting. Thank you, Lady Wolf 5x5. Welcome to Hellbent Live. This is a very special episode because depending on how this sickness that I've got goes, it may be my last episode. I am very sick. We're going to start with that. I'm very sick. I am on medication. I've gone to the doctor twice in the past 4 days. So I'm going to be mostly producing today. And
it's the Joe Show, baby.
Well, you guys are in for a treat. It's not just Joe, thank goodness. We have some special guests that'll be joining us around 8 o'clock. It's the boys from Wild and Weird, West Virginia. They're going to be joining us for the show. We are going to be discussing some really, really interesting stuff that's been developing over the past few days and the past few months. There's one thing that we talk about a lot. It is the thinning of the veil. And we've discussed, is there a thinning of the veil? And now we're starting to wonder, is the veil completely obliterated? Because we are starting to see some really wild and wacky stuff happening. So we are super glad that you are here to join us for this. Yeah, I got my rabies hat on. I have rabies. I wore this hat. I don't wear this hat a lot, but I wore this hat one day. I was leaving the house, and our neighbor was down the street, and I had never met this lady before. And I pull up, and I needed to introduce myself to her. And I roll down the window, and I go, "Hey, hey!" She looks at me and runs away. So don't wear the I have rabies hat when you're trying to introduce yourself for the first time to your neighbors. So let that be a lesson to you. This is very cool with this new lighting scheme.
It is very cool looking. You ought to see what it looks like here. That's what it looks like to all the people out there.
Oh, that looks nice. I'm going to put my spectacles on.
All the people out there. Couple quick things here. Miranda Crew. Our buddy, our pal. Let's get the party started.
Yes.
And you know who's bringing the party is our buddy Curtis Whitaker.
Curtis, don't hurt us.
Curtis, don't hurt us. Curtis, thank you so much. Curtis, every week you're here for us, man. We appreciate you so much.
Joe was trying to tell me not to do the show today. He's like, "Yeah, I can do the show by myself." I was like, "Joe, there's no way you're going to be able to produce this. Do you know how to do any overlays, anything like that?"
Nope. Don't need them. Don't need them.
I don't even have any overlays on right now. I'll throw one up there, though.
And then our friend Gardening Dragon. For your medication and self-care, Jesse. Feel better soon.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
Well, I was going to put her down, but if she's bringing in super chats, I guess you live another day. So
I'm on the biggest antibiotics I've ever seen in my life. I showed them to Joe. It's like a pill that is this big. What is it, like 1,000 milligrams?
Yeah, it's like a horse pill.
It's crazy. But yeah, I'm hoping I feel a bit better. I'm completely deaf in my left ear right now, so we'll see. Hopefully it clears up. Joe was sick, week before last, so it might just be circulating around, but I'm okay. I hit the coffee pretty hard.
It's been a rough year sorry, I'm responding to a super chat, and Death Wish has given me the all clear. Death Wish was in a sketchy place today and let me know when he was going in and getting out, and he just got out. He is cool. All good. But Gardening Dragon, thank you again so much for that. That is extremely generous of you. I don't know what to say. Our buddy Dave, a tribute to the golden calf of the Ethically challenged Welsh American Association of Coin Collectors, Old Man Jenkins Memorial Chapter. We've got our buddies Joe and Ron from Wild and Weird, West Virginia.
Oh, the white balance just totally corrected. It looks so much better now.
But bam, what the hell happened with that? So, all right.
I think Dave did it with his super
Dave did
chat.
it. Thank you, Dave. Hailed. They were, anyway, our buddies Joe and Ron from Wild and Weird, West Virginia, are going to be joining us tonight for a little while for some of the UFO related stuff. And I am generally in their chats on Thursday nights having a freaking ball.
Yeah.
That is like the highlight of my week. I get to I come home, I do some chores, I rush, I get some food ready, and I sit down to terrorize Joe and Ron's chat, and they graciously put up with me. But this past week,
I'm glad that somebody else can carry the load of carrying Joe around.
So they this past week, they Joe was giving just an absolute brilliant dissertation on, because a lot of the latest UAP and UFO like disclosure and release stuff, well, there's a big chunk of the government who thinks that they're demonic, basically. Do you know what I'm saying? That we're dealing with powers from the Bible itself.
I know that I was on Darkness Radio. I actually guest co-hosted Darkness Radio last week for Supernatural News. And that was one of the stories that Tim Dennis brought up, was that J.D. Vance mentioned that these were possible demonic.
Well, Joe knows what he's talking about. Joe Purdue knows they know what they're talking about, everything. But he was a pastor, so he has a very good foundational knowledge to speak about these things from someone who's received formal training in that. But he was talking about Moses going up on the mountain and telling everybody to leave before they left. Make sure you don't worship any graven images now, And they immediately began to with the golden calf. So in the chat, I just kind of went, this golden calf thing sounds pretty good, guys. I want a deity who's, $4,700 an ounce, which is what gold's going for right now. So
I was Moses came down. I was like, what did I say, guys?
Yeah, but I was team golden calf that night for a while. Thank you for that, Dave. And then Pyro had also put up Save Jesse campaign kicking off. Keep her alive another day. What's killing us right now is it's so freaking dry, and the particulate matter in the air is like bananas.
Yeah.
We were out in the Uwaris doing some scouting for the next documentary, and we came back. Everything's just covered in like dust and dirt and grime, and we're out there, and it's just killing us breathing it in right now. There's just really nothing to be done about it. So we're in a real bad drought in this part of the country. And normally we'd be complaining about the moisture, but right now it's just, there's so much crap in the
air. Kathy Music says, hi, Hall. Are you on any maintenance drugs that might help you not get sick all the time, Jesse? So my sicknesses are all different things. It's either between all right, so I've been on steroids multiple times over the past couple of years. And so it's all different stuff. A lot of it's related to me going out in the field, whether I get bit by something like a tick or something like that, then I have to get on a prophylactic dose of antibiotics, or I get into some poison ivy, then I end up on steroids. And it's just like, that's basically what's going on. It's like, it's one thing after another. Some of it is like normal environmental stuff, and some stuff is just because I'm going out in the field all the time. But that's part of it. And I don't get a lot of sleep. That also doesn't help. But I try to take a lot of vitamins and everything, and exercise, and try to eat pretty healthy. But it's just going to knock me down periodically.
So what else we got here? So tonight, what we want to talk about is, and you kind of probably picked it up from the thumbnail and from the title of the show, as our buddy Moondog Davis says, we constantly talk about the veil seems to be thinning. And I'm sure that people have been saying that since there were people who had the ability to say that. People have always talked about how the veil's getting thinner, weird stuff's happening. But for us, the people here on this show, watching it, sitting on this side of the camera, we're very in touch with this stuff. And to us, it really honestly seems like sometimes that the veil's getting thinner. But then you look at the news lately, and I'm just going, is the veil even still there? The veil sounds like it's a goner to quote Moondog here. There's so much stuff going on right now. And I'm not talking about the usual Facebook post, Bigfoot living in my backyard, blah, 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 blah. You know, not talking about that stuff, but it seems like there is some real dedicated mucho high strangeness like going on out there.
And it's getting to such a heightened point that it's seeping into mainstream media. It's making its way to the general populace, and the general populace is starting to notice this. I know that us and you guys, you know, we're always looking at this stuff. We've always got our finger on the pulse of what is going on in terms of the current goings on with high strangeness, what's in the news concerning disclosure, Bigfoot sightings, this and that. And within our small circles and our small little informational circles, we know what's going on. But it's getting to the point where it's seeping into the normal people's world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and you always know that all it takes is a slow news day for a weird story to get some legs under it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's really nothing going on. They got to like have something to put up. Oh, here's a weird story out of Ohio, you know. Let's put this up, and then it gets legs and runs with it. That factors into it to a certain degree. You know, there are certain things that sometimes go viral that I'm kind of shocked by, and then there's other things that you would think would go viral that don't go viral. And I think a lot of times that's just the whims of the algorithm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whether it picked it up or not, or whether somebody decided to run with this story.
Or if it's a slow news day. I know that, you know, you've got a lot going on there. And a lot of these outlets have to have there's a 24/7 cycle. And so there's no time for any stories to sit and rest. As soon as something comes out, they have to have something else on its heels.
Some of these things have legs to them, like the Ohio Bigfoot thing that we're not going to go too in depth on tonight. Zoe the Flow finally caught alive. Jesse, make sure you protect your bones taking oral steroids. Do they weaken the bones? Are they a bone weakener?
Bone weakener.
Our buddy Minerva in here, been with us for 21 months. We appreciate you. Alaskan Empress Wellness Fund. Maybe not enough Vienna sausages in the diet.
That's what I need. Those
you need to pump those. Those are rookie numbers. You need to pump those numbers up.
I need the winners for strength.
Need the winners for strength. Zoe the Flow, thank you so much for that super sticker. We appreciate you. Appreciate you guys.
I promise I'm not sick all the time.
Our respiratory stuff takes a beating doing this stuff.
Yeah, it does.
It does. It's either wearing like old, it's usually bad wearing like old like buildings and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, you know, like Zach Bagans, I know you guys, a lot of you don't like Zach Bagans, but he started wearing respirators anytime he'd go into a building.
Yeah.
Just because
what we need is just giant like scuba masks.
When you're doing this so much, you're exposing yourself to a lot of stuff between asbestos, and even like, you know, what's really hot right now, hantavirus. Hantavirus so man. Hot right now.
Hantavirus is it.
But you can go into these old homesteads, these old cabins and everything, and there's mouse droppings. You're going to be exposed to hantavirus. So that's a big risk that you're taking by going into places like that. And we go into places like that all the time.
Speaking of the Ohio Bigfoot flap, the man who brought it to the world. But what's crazy is that when you look at this, and I've heard everybody say, oh, well, these sightings are always going on. People are just paying more attention to them now, as far as Bigfoot goes. I don't know, man. It seems like if somebody is having a sighting, that's a pretty big deal to them. It just seems like sightings have increased. We are in a Bigfoot sighting flap right now.
Right. There
is an increase of Bigfoot sightings in Ohio. Few other places as well, you know, but it seems like there's an increase in sightings right now. It seems like sightings are happening more often, and as an end result, it's becoming a little bit more socially acceptable to talk about them. And yeah, anytime you have these, especially with the mainstream press, there's going to be a giggle factor to it, you know.
Yeah.
Anytime a UFO thing comes up, you know, they're going to play the X-Files theme, you know, and have their little, like, you know, kind of snickering, but it's being taken more and more seriously. And I think the reason why it's being taken more and more seriously is more and more people are having experiences of their own.
Yeah.
A lot of the population, and we're not going to do politics at all, But people on both sides of the political spectrum, off the political spectrum, a lot of people just don't trust mainstream media nowadays. So I don't think it's a result of mainstream media reporting. I think it's the fact that more and more people are having these encounters, are having these sightings, are experiencing this activity. And, you know, and I've always gone back and forth on that. Are we just hearing about it more, but it always happens? I think it's always been going on. But I think that, and of course, this is like anecdotal evidence, although you do have some empirical evidence here. You're starting to see reports on it in the news far more often, especially on the UAP, UFO end of things. But, you know, weird lights in the skies are not the only things that are reported in these government UAP reports that are coming out. There's sightings and interactions with like literal entities coming out as well.
Yeah.
And I always say that. I always say that, you know, if this is not, we're experiencing like Zeta Reticula's like version of NASA here. They're sending actual, like their version of like the space shuttle down here to like check us out. If you're dealing with something that is high strangeness, we'd be foolish to think it's limited to just strange lights in the sky, strange possible craft in the sky, unexplainable phenomena in the sky. There would be associating things on the ground running around weird. And I think that's what we're seeing right now, you know, is I've always had I can't say always, I always come back to this. You know me, like as I experience more things, my thought process evolves on it. But I keep coming back to this, that there's an interconnectivity to a lot of this stuff. A lot of these things are interconnected somehow. And I'm not saying from the same source even. I'm not saying Bigfoot gets out of UFOs, although I ain't saying that either. I don't know what I think as far as that goes.
Yeah.
But it seems like, and I don't even think all of this stuff, even like the UAP phenomenon, all has a singular source. There's a guy out there, and I'm not even going to try to do his name right. He has a theory called the wild cosmos theory. And he basically says that he thinks almost all of it's real. You know what I'm saying? But some weird lights are actual mechanical craft from another planet. Other UAPs are actual interdimensional creatures that we're seeing. Fifth dimensional entities that are entering our space, and we're only seeing a third dimensional representation of them. We're seeing paranormal things. We're seeing things that could be considered the Fae. We're seeing things that are crypto-terrestrial, that have been here on this planet and just occasionally show themselves.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what we're dealing with right now. Maybe the veil that we consider like a veil, something that's kind of separated us from the other, maybe it's been self-imposed by whatever's on the other side of it. And maybe they're deciding
now's the time to
now's the time to come more. And I wonder about that with like you constantly hear these rumors that something big is coming.
Yeah.
It's next year. There's going to be a craft that's been sighted.
There's always something coming down. Amy Fountain, thank you for that super chats. Save the Stick and Self-Care Fund. Feel better soon.
Thank you for that, Amy. We appreciate you.
Yeah, and I've got a couple of not super chats. I got a couple of chats here. We're gonna
let me finish this thought real quick,
and
then
go ahead.
But my point is that maybe that's why we're seeing an increased acceptance of these stories and this willingness to put them out, is because maybe the powers that be, whoever that is, realize that this stuff's becoming open, whether they want it to become open or not. And the best way to do it is to try to get out in front of it as best they can. And I see that I see a couple of things with the government. And again, obviously the government doesn't really get into like Bigfoot disclosure a lot, Dogman disclosure, anything like that. It's always centered around UAPs. But again, there's sightings of entities that would correspond with like Bigfoot and Dogman with some of these sightings. It always seems like to me like two things is going on. That there's a power struggle behind the scenes. One group that wants disclosure and wants these things to come out, and maybe not even for altruistic reasons. Maybe it would benefit them somehow, monetarily, increase in power, whatever. and then another group that wants to maintain the status quo and keep it hidden. And maybe they're not even bad people. Maybe they think they're doing the best thing that they can do with a situation that's damn near impossible to control. But it also seems to me too is that there's a level of panic going on sometimes with the government. That again, they're dealing with something they can't control, they can't predict, and they're losing the ability to keep it hidden day after, every day they lose a little.
They're losing grip on it. They're losing grip on the whole thing.
And you know what? And I always go back to this too. I'm sure that there's some real self-serving like bastards behind the scenes here, but you've probably got some people that are trying to
I'm sitting right here.
maintain secrecy because they think it's the best thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
They think that, there's a segment of the government.
It's for everybody's own good that they don't know about this, that this is kept under wraps.
You always hear about the Collins elite,
Mm-hmm.
that segment of the government, of the deep state that approach this from a fundamentalist, viewpoint. And again, I want the chat to stay calm. I don't want anybody digging on religion or anybody that's religious and they're digging on other people. Let's all maintain some decorum. But the Collins elite supposedly think that this is demonic and that there's no way to deal with this safely. There's no way to deal with this without making it stronger, that there's no safe way to deal with it. The best thing to do, which corresponds with a lot of paranormal investigators. What do they tell you if you have poltergeist or aggressive paranormal activity in your house? Don't pay it any attention. Paying it attention makes it stronger. And that seems to be the case with a lot of this stuff, that attention is very similar to almost like, worship in some cases. And that seems to accelerate and amplify the abilities of these like other phenomena at this point. So what do you got in here in the chat?
All right, I got some stuff in the chat if you want to take a look at that. And then we've got one of our boys. Oh, look at that. They're all ready to go.
There we go. Strange Backcountry, MK Ultra, maybe this part of disclosure psyop, introduce another weird factor to soften the blow of aliens. I think that it's a pretty safe thing to say that 20 years ago, definitely, 10 years ago, still probably, if the government didn't want any of these stories out, they wouldn't come out. But I think that they are losing control of the ability to maintain this. Now, I still think that the PSYOP machine is strong and it's still in effect. There's a lot of like derision and scorn that's tossed upon people that come forward to this, but that's lessening like every day. You know what I'm saying? Lessening every day. And our buddy Jeremiah, I just got interviewed by CNN yesterday about Ohio, and then the main news of Australia just about as well. This ain't going away.
See, and we thought that maybe, we had the Ohio flap thing go on. Jeremiah was everywhere. And then this Patterson Gimlin thing came out. And then that seems like that's died off now. But that doesn't mean that this Ohio flap situation is going away, because it looks like it's maybe resurging.
Yeah. Our friend Janet, my gran would say it's because more people are talking about these things, so they're drawing them out. We're big fans of Timothy Renner and Strange Familiars, which we reference almost monthly on the show. And that is one of the things that they talk about, that attention, the focused attention that you give these things seems to be almost like a currency to them. It's something that they want. They want attention. And again, you mostly see that in the paranormal community, but, don't pay attention to it. You hear the rapping on the walls, or your water glass moves a little bit, or you hear a moan from the other room. Just, don't pay any attention. It'll get bored and move on, basically. And you know what? Here's the deal. What if that part of the government that thinks that the more attention is paid to these topics is bad? Maybe that part of the government's right. What do we do then? There's a work of fiction, Jesse, that you've heard me ramble about a lot. It's called Monster Hunter International.
I have read the first book.
It's about just a bunch of dudes that get paid to like hunt monsters, like vampires, everything like that. Well, there's like a real Lovecraftian kind of like, like element to it all. And there's a government agency in there that basically will come and put a bullet in your head if you talk about it. If you would survive a vampire encounter, they'll come, they'll snuff you out if they have to. So their methods are very extreme and harsh and could be construed as evil. But the theory
It's for our own good.
The theory in the
end of
book
the day.
is that eventually you reach critical mass. That the more people that think about these things and know about these things and accept the ability of the possibility of these things, the more people, eventually you hit a number where these things can more fully enter into our like reality. So that's the thing, is they're basically trying to like, you know, stop a leak everywhere. You know what I'm saying? And it's just this constant, desperate, just race to try to like keep the numbers down. And, you know, that's fictional, but I always wonder, is there something maybe to that? You know, if we get to a point where 75% of the population just completely accepts the possibility and knows that UFOs are real, will we enter into a, you know, another age where this stuff's like more common?
And then will the information come at hyper speed at that point? All right, we're going to get through a couple of these, and then we're going to bring on our guests for tonight. Like I said, I'm going to be mostly producing tonight because I am probably going to get taken out behind the barn and taken out tonight. So this is the end of Jesse. Bonnie Blue McGee, member for 21 months. Thank you, Miss Bonnie Blue. Thank you for having us. Thank you for being with us here. Ken Lucas has a super chat. So much for quickly finishing a thought.
Oh, Ken, just get back to my banner, why don't you? Anyway.
Mr. Blueberry says, maybe the truth is too horrible that maybe we're better off not knowing.
I'm going to talk to Joe and Ron about that a little bit, because you keep hearing about this. It's going to shake the very foundations, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, basically, it's too terrible for most people to comprehend. Well, the dude sitting here talking about it seems to comprehend it okay. You know what I'm saying? I don't see you being dragged off to a loony bin from, you know.
Not for that.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. But other reasons, yeah, for sure. Are you ready to bring on our boys?
Bring those boys on.
Bring that boy. Show it. Let's roll that beautiful bean footage. All right, so we got a couple of friends joining us tonight. We have our friends from Wild and Weird, West Virginia, Joe and Ron. And we'll take our little thingy over here and let's bring them on.
What's going on, guys?
What's up, buddy?
Long time no see.
What's going on, man? So for those, and most of you guys in the chat know them, but for those of you who are newcomers to the Hellbent Holler family, Joe and Ron are Wild and Weird, West Virginia. They are actually where Jessie got her podcasting and little live streaming start at. Jessie was like co-hosting with them for a bit. But they are very, 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 very good friends of ours. Two of our favorite people, just period, let alone in the community. And when we were talking about this, I was just like, I wonder what Joe and Ron think about it. And I'm like, let's just have them on tonight, man. So thanks for joining us, guys.
Yeah, we need to get you guys back on there semi-annually for like a little reunion.
Right.
I tell you what, there was nothing like that live stream you did after you premiered your first episode of your latest series, where the power went out at Ron's house, and then it was just bedlam. I mean, absolute. I've never had more fun on a live stream.
That is the most fun I've ever had.
That was pandemonium.
You've got to be able to sit in the hot seat and keep everybody entertained. It comes from being in a band background. And being able to keep the energy moving when something that's unexpected happens or things start to go off the rails, you just kind of move in the flow with the going off the rails and ride it to where it goes.
I feel like you have to do that all the time with Ron, though.
Oh, constantly. You know, the show's got to go on, guys.
I'm gonna put a link to the chat, and we'll have a link in the show description for it as well to pop over there. Now, I usually, like I said in the opening of the show, I'm usually terrorizing them on Thursday nights. The Thursday night chat on Wild and Weird is like my me time. I come home, I get my chores done, I get food ready, and then I sit down and I'm ready to go. You know what I'm saying? So, so if you guys are looking for something cool to watch on Thursday nights, definitely you will find me there talking a bunch of smack in the chat at this point. So, anyways, Joe and Ron have a much more, where Jessie and I are more like generalists. Joe and Ron have a much better grasp of the entire UAP phenomenon, and especially like the latest developments in that. I mean, you guys are usually where I go to get my news on it. And that's why I wanted to get you guys on. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on right now. There's obviously the U.S. government releases that just came out. What do you guys think about that so far? I mean, are you guys wowed by it? Were you underwhelmed by it?
It's a mixed bag, wouldn't you say, Joe? I mean, that's pretty much the truth of the matter.
I think that's probably the most appropriate way to put it, because on one side of the coin, we are really surprised by some of what came out.
Yeah.
Primarily the stuff from NASA that they allegedly never had.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a huge denial for years. They said, we've never had any anomalies, blah, 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 blah. They had a script, and you could tell they were reading off a script for years. Then a week prior to this release, they even came out and doubled down. The current director doubled down on no UAP, no UFOs, no strange stuff in space. And then lo and behold, we get the drop. And one of the first things that you really see that's substantial is the FBI NASA files, the logs for the flight log, and the recorded comms from Houston and ground control up to the shuttle. You know, that stuff was all really, really impressive to see, because allegedly it never existed. Now, you'd heard some of the astronauts' stories from time to time where they would come out and say, oh yeah, we saw really strange things, this was happening, but there was no official move. It was all hush hush. Other than that, you know, a lot of the sensor data looked like a lot of the stuff that you guys and us have been capturing for years, and showing people what happens when you turn that thermal to the sky. And it on the other side of the coin, you know, that was the shocking side. The other side of the coin for the folks like us who've all been interested in this phenomena for so long, it was kind of like, is this it?
Mm-hmm.
But for people who are completely foreign to the topic, it's a different world.
You know, the NASA thing was really important to me because I had, you know, there's that Latin axiom, false in one thing, false in everything. And if they're just going to lie that quickly and it's immediately proven wrong, at that point, you can't trust anything they say at this point. And, you know, I wonder, do you think that maybe that's why this one was a little bit lackluster? Do you think this was kind of the gateway for like the normal people out there who maybe don't follow it so closely, to kind of like get a little bit wider public consumption on that and then drop the heavy stuff on them? Or do you think it's just going to maintain this level all the way through?
I think that it's kind of a primer.
Mm-hmm.
And according to everything that's coming forward since the release, the folks who sit on the investigative board that's watching this, the oversight committee, there's the holy crap moment, I guess, is coming now. Mm-hmm. Is it going to be holy crap to the Gen Pop, or is it going to be holy crap to even us? I'm waiting to see.
Yeah.
Well, you've got members of Congress posting photos of biblically accurate angels on their X accounts, Jim saying, and we're talking about Luna, who is deeply involved in this stuff. And you know, there's been some maybe less than serious people in Congress involved in this. Again, that giggle factor kind of comes in, but she's dead serious about this stuff. And for her to do this, now you guys will know better than me, but she's not somebody who really, she's a conservative. She's on the, you know, she's from a red area, but she's not somebody who really ran on like a deeply religious platform, is she?
No.
Yeah. And that's what kind of got me, is that if she's doing this, what has she seen that's all of a sudden led her in that direction? So,
well, I think that would be frame DOD 11168051, because that is the one that everybody has now started to talk about. I don't think that the inclusion of that particular file, that image, that video, the chandelier UFO, so-called, I don't think that was an accident. I think that was put in there to actually have this conversation, get this conversation going. What that is irrelevant, but what it does is it causes us to bring up these harder questions, these harder answers.
Chandelier UFO photo to put it up there, because remember Jeremy Corbell had mentioned that, and that was in his not Hulu, but wasn't he on Tubi? Was that the 3-part Tubi series that he did where he talked about the chandelier UFO?
Yeah, this thing's been out there before, so it's very strategic that it, this particular clip is included.
Actually,
Now, the imagery that Corbell was showing previously wasn't from this platform sensor.
No.
There was like a rendering that was made of what the sighting allegedly was. But what we got this time was the sensors and the data from it, and it's very, I don't want to say it's misleading.
I'd say it's confusing.
It is, yes, confusing is a good word, because right now you've got all these people, because that specific still is getting a ton of attention right now from the media, because it's a biblically accurate angel, you know, trying to go that direction with it. But you have another side, obviously Mick West, who is the be all end all for UFOs. Mick West is saying that it's just a flare, and having military experience and looking into these sensors over now, well, not over, but 15 to 18 years ago at this point. And those were older models than what this was captured on. This was captured in 2023, I believe. The sensors were 2 generations newer than what we were using. And when we looked at flares through the sensors we had, they looked like flares. It was a single hot point of light, and you would see some what we called burn into the display as it was moving, because it was kind of peeking out the sensor, because of it was such an abstract in temperature from the background temperature that it was peeking out the black hot or the white hot, whatever you're using. And that's why, if you look at this photo, you can see there's like a little weird trail at the bottom, right? And people are saying that's smoke. That's not what smoke looks like on a thermal either. Smoke on a thermal looks like smoke, just like airplanes on a thermal look like airplanes. What this is, I can't say, but I know for sure that is not a flare. If it was a flare, it would have been easily resolved by error.
And there'd be numerous examples that they could pull up and show. Here's a flare, the exact same thing. Here's a flare, the
That's
exact same
something
thing.
that you can recreate.
Exactly. And
100%.
you would have multiple instances of that being filmed in the past, because especially in the Middle East, we're running, drones with like exceptionally good thermal technology on a daily basis over there.
Just to put it into perspective for some of maybe the average listeners, the current technology that's in the field right now, one of the best that's out there is the HD59 MLVS, great sensor system. This thing can count bricks on a building from half mile away. You can be looking at a structure and you'll see the definition created because mortar has a different thermal reflection than brick will. And you can, that's how high def these systems are. And those were available, I think, 1.5 years, 2 years ago, which was when this was shot. Now, I'm not saying that's what this was shot with, but it was the same kind of EOIR type sensor at this point. That technology existed then. But to give you an idea, they're designed for long range detection, long range monitoring with very, very precise optics.
Well, they can switch out. They're multi-spectral systems.
Yes.
And I think that's one of our issues. People think that you're looking at, the general public's looking at this. They don't see what this is.
Yeah, they think it's a negative.
This is a solid object. It's not, that's not a solid object. That is a heat signature. And some of the skeptics are saying, well, this is a diffraction pattern. Now, there are diffraction patterns, and they do look kind of like that. They do make the spokes, the chandelier effect. But what's weird about it is you've got these very strange, these weird appendages in the center. And there almost looks like there's a ring or some kind of connection there. I don't see that in some of those other images, in those other videos.
Whatever this is, the heat signature itself has geometry,
which is weird. And
it's not refraction. This is not a lens flare. Thermal sensors do not see lens flare. Lens flare isn't a thing for them. There can be a chandelier effect. Okay.
Yeah.
But that is when you're extremely zoomed in on a very, very far off object. But it, like Ron said, it doesn't look like this.
It's very strange just because, if you do watch this video, the actual file, and you can go over and grab that. That is over on the Department of War site. You see it as a little heat index, a signature. And if you look at the heat index, the little signature, you're going to see what looks like a little dot in the center of it.
Mm-hmm.
And you should not see that, especially if that thing's white hot. And then they zoom in 3 times, and this is what you have. But as they're zooming in, that never really changes. That is proportional. So if it were an artifact, I would be thinking that you're going to see the same exact thing all the way through. It doesn't matter what zoom I go to, that's going to look the same. It really doesn't look the same.
Let's say we were this, just devil's advocate. This is what gets me. Let's say this is some sort of like, I don't know, air-to-air missile that we're seeing here. Again, devil's advocate. Missiles move exponentially faster than airplanes do. That's why they can hit them. And especially if this is on a drone platform, it's going to blow a drone out of the water, literally. Even you don't see this get any smaller at all. To me, if it was a flare off of the exhaust of a missile, you would see just getting increasingly smaller. That's not the case here. Whatever the case, and that just kind of rules this out for me. I know people have said, "Oh, you can see a parachute flap," and that just actually. I don't see a parachute in that. I see where you're seeing some just kind of like, I don't know, an artifact on the edge of the screen possibly.
Yes.
But I don't see that as a parachute. So I don't see this, and it doesn't move like you would expect a flare on a parachute to move, even in high wind.
Right. And you just brought up something there. You can see that move. You saw the shadow move, right? So, and it's directly proportional to the movement of the camera system itself. So, as this thing's moving this way, you'll see that kind of move around at the exact same time in the opposite directions. And it's almost there's at one point, if you go through it and scrub the frame, you'll actually see it. It kind of converges in the center, and it's a big arc. So it is, in my opinion, a camera artifact. I don't think that's a physical object. It does look like one, but it breaks apart too much to be a physical object.
Especially being on a thermal sensor.
Right there. Exactly.
This again, everybody who's analyzing this photo is not familiar with platform sensors. They're not familiar with how sensors work, right? They're watching this from the perspective of what they do with their phone. Right. And they're looking at it. They don't understand a thermal sensor does not give a rip about what is in the environment. It's not going to pixelate it, frag it out. It's going to show it. It is going to be there. If it is of a stark contrast to what the main target is, whatever the hottest element in that viewfinder is, it will appear slightly as a different gradient, but it's never, ever going to be invisible, especially if it has mass and it is solid. If it is specifically parachute material, and I haven't gotten into this on too many arguments with some of the folks online about this specific frame and the parachute. Like I give them the fact that, maybe, but parachutes have a very specific look on thermal, and it's done on purpose. They're the fabric that they're made out of. It is designed to almost be like a beacon, so to speak. It will go stark contrast with whatever the environment is. It makes them easily trackable on thermal, and that's. It's kind of done on purpose for, just trying to find people, trying to find assets when things specifically get dropped from like supply drops, that kind of parachute. They're easily trackable with thermal. And even if they're laying on the ground, you could leave it on the ground for months and just let it sit there, and you would still see its silhouette and shape, even with debris on top of it. So,
this one, the what was the one? The octopus shaped one. I just completely lost.
Oh, that was
the what?
I said the octopus shaped one. That one was cool.
You know which one? The one Corbell originally brought out. The one that they
The
tried to
jelly.
debunk as a what were they calling that?
Oh, they said it was Mylar balloons.
Mylar balloon.
Yeah,
party
and
balloon.
then somebody AI generated up a fake listing for Mylar balloons that were in that shape and went, "Oh, you can order this right offline." And then people were like, "No, that's an AI image that you just made to try to debunk this at that point." And the jellyfish UAP. This one, the jellyfish UAP, I found most interesting. And then the thing that's taken the cake right now for me is the thermal footage that the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense just released. That I'm like really interested in hearing what you guys have to think about.
Is it real? That's what I have to think about it right now. Right now, is that real?
Yeah.
Well, I have the footage right here. I have
Show it, Jesse. Show it,
you guys
Jesse.
can take a look at it. What's interesting about this footage is it looks so similar to this. It looks so similar in shape to the chandelier UFO.
And real quick, before we do this, what happened is the gentleman that was involved with the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense, basically, I guess he released this in 2023, but it didn't get a lot of traction.
Okay.
Basically said that, Ukrainian troops had picked this up in the air and basically in the war zone there. And that when he posted this in 2023, he was immediately contacted by a secret branch of the Ukrainian government that had basically been a holdover from when it was a Soviet satellite state that had been tasked to deal with these sort of things in Ukrainian airspace, and that they were still operating. And he basically put this out for the world to see. Like Ron said, is it real? I mean, it came from a Ukrainian government official who's claiming that it's from Ukrainian military hardware. And he even went on to say that at least in the Ukraine, UAPs were now basically the domain of the military forces there. That the civilian government was just basically letting the military handle it because they didn't know whether it was a threat or not. And they also didn't know whether there were basically advanced Russian weapons that were also maybe being snuck in under the cover of trying to be a UAP. Is that what this is? I mean, this doesn't look like as far as like it's not very aerodynamic looking. I mean, not in traditional aerodynamics, but Jesse, go ahead and roll that if you've got it.
Let's roll that. And
Hey, by the way, thank you for that, LW. We greatly appreciate you, my man.
well, Gardening Dragon. Let's hit her. Gardening Dragon says, my husband said Joe needs self-care too.
You guys spoil us. Thank you guys. Thank you.
So this is the latest UFO footage that's come out, and it is stabilized. It's slowed down a little bit. I actually up the sharpness a little bit on it and the contrast so we can get a little more detail on that. So we'll kind of watch that through. And if you want me to stop it at any point, let me know.
Let's do a run through on it.
Yeah.
And then if we want to go back and revisit anything in particular, we can go ahead and do that.
Let's take a look at how this looks. I uploaded it up to the server and we'll see if it looks all right. It's going a little slow.
So has anybody else in the chat ever played Doom? Because that looks like one of the things from Doom.
I think what I'm going to do is, because it's moving a little slow as the upload, I'm going to roll it here. Just have patience. You guys talk amongst yourselves.
But, I look at this stuff where it doesn't seem to, you see the tic-tac.
There we go. I got it.
Stuff like that. I mean, it's a smooth surface. If you had the propulsion and navigation figured out on that, we didn't need the wings and anything like that. You didn't need sort of like thrust element to basically give it, directional capabilities and give it lift. But it's still aerodynamic. But, you look at like the jellyfish UAP, which in my mind, at least, that's never been debunked. And when that came out, I looked at it just going, it almost looks like you're dealing with like a higher dimensional being here. And you're seeing that we can comprehend what little bit of it is actually manifesting in 3D reality.
The only aspect of the jellyfish UAP that has been debunked was the claim that it was Mylar balloons. And we were the ones that debunked it. We got a cluster of Mylar balloons. We put them up 300-400 feet up in the air and hit them with a thermal, and it looked absolutely nothing like that.
They looked like a bunch of Mylar balloons, didn't they?
100%. You could see the seams in them.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, especially if you have them tied, they're going to strain against whatever is anchoring them at that point. Everybody's seen a batch of balloons go up into the air.
Absolutely.
They're joined together, but it's chaotic. This
very
stayed
chaotic.
stationary, and the moment I saw that, that was the first thing that I saw. Is that I said, we're witnessing something from a higher dimension, that's intersecting with ours, and we're seeing its 3D representation right now, and it's chaotic, and it makes no sense to us. I think the whole thing wouldn't have made any sense to us.
Right.
But,
I agree.
Yeah.
But then you see this, and if you've got it ready, go ahead and play it.
Go.
All right, go ahead and roll it.
Take a little look-see, y'all.
Yep.
So there's thermal contrast at the bottom of it.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the heat from a booster or something there too with that streak.
It's venting something, whether that's heat or
I would almost reckon to say that was radiation.
That's a good point.
Oof.
Yeah,
Of
very
some
good.
sort.
Well, you notice that when the camera points at it, you start to see this interference on it. You're seeing an interference, and if you look at the bottom corners, left or right corner there, you see that the battery is almost completely gone. And I would assume they wouldn't send up a drone with an almost dead battery to check something like this out. Or if
they'd want to have information on it as much as they can gather.
Saw it, but when I saw the almost drained battery and then the interference there, that's when I'm going, all right, well, that's in keeping with what you guys have experienced with your equipment. Yeah. When you're around like high strangeness, what we've experienced with our equipment, interference and battery drain. So
happens. It definitely happens.
Look at the details you can see here.
Yeah, I was going to say, look at that.
Edges and everything. The stabilized version is really, really good. It's stabilized and centered and everything. But you can see here, I've got my cursor going over it, just these details around these spikes here.
No idea what that thing is. That's what I'm saying. If this is real, yes, that's something. The problem being, as today, it's so hard to tell what is and what isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's where, Ron, if you think back, did you watch how it undulated as it was coming down?
Yep.
You would see that reflect off the ground.
You would, possibly, if it was close enough.
If it was close enough to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So I wish that they would have, depending on the altitude, I wish that they would have taken those readings, or if they even had something to detect gamma radiation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think we're missing the mark on a lot of this stuff just for that simple reason. I mean, you've heard me from day one. It's like, get a Geiger counter. If you're going out in the field, take one. It's probably one of the best pieces that you can take with you at this point, because you don't know. And it's one of those things, man. It's like, it's a part of the data set that just goes unlooked. Everybody looks for the thing that they can see.
Well, I mean, you guys found those Bigfoot tracks that time, and we've talked about it on the show before, that had elevated levels of radiation in them.
Yeah.
And, Joe, I know, at least because we were on the Bigfoot forums together, you even posited at some point, maybe it came out of underground and it had some, radiation levels are usually heightened in some areas. The deeper you get underground, maybe it had some radioactive clay on its feet, and maybe that's it. Or maybe we were dealing with something that's not from our reality, and it's shedding radioactivation. It's shedding like radioactivity, like we shed like dead skin cells. It's just pouring off of its body. And no one would know, because you guys and us are really the only people that really carry that sort of stuff out into the field a lot of times.
True.
Well, with that particular case, those tracks were there. We tracked it come down from the sighting location. And this was 2 hours after the sighting took place, mind you. We could see where the sighting took place. We could see where the tracks went. We saw where the tracks circled around this bush and didn't go anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
It was just gone. It didn't go across the creek and go up the hill. It was just gone. And if there was any kind of energy displacement, the type of energy it would take to move that kind of mass, whether it was a black bear or Bigfoot like entity, anything like that, the energy it would take to displace that much mass would be measurable. So it's strange.
And that's the thing, is that I'm sure traditional Bigfoot people hear that and go, well, that's crazy talk. And I'm like, is it? How would you know? You're not out there taking the same instrument readings that we all are, I mean, you're not out there with this like very specialized equipment looking into it. Maybe this is a more common occurrence than what we know, but just nobody's looking for it.
Oh, I think it is.
Yeah.
I absolutely think it is. I think that's the whole point. And, to demystify it and to get it more normalized, because you need people to take those sensors out. The more people are taking sensors out, I mean, you and me can do it. Yeah, that's great. But look, it's just two crazy people doing that, right? Mm-hmm. But if we get an army of people going out, these researchers who are like, you know what the heck? I'm going to try this just to see if it works. It probably won't work. Who cares? I'm going to try it. Go out and give it a shot. If they're honest and they can get those readings and not let let their belief system guide their data, but just let the data guide them, and then share that amongst the other, peers and other researchers, maybe we can get an idea. But right now, all we can say is there is something there. And I think that's kind of what they're trying to tell you right now, that there is something there. We just don't know what that is or how it all fits into this.
And that's the thing, is that like the greater paranormal communities like Bigfoot, UFOs, the ghost type, there's such a self-regulating community. There's such a self-imposed filter on all of these things, depending upon which little social circle you run in.
And if you get out of line with that, it becomes a circular firing squad.
Oh yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. It's you're brought back into line very quickly on that. And you magnify that same thing. I'm sure the same thing goes on in the government, and that's probably what factors into a lot of this stuff being held back, is just the simple fact of like, hey man, we're the CIA. We can't release crazy stuff like this. We got a reputation to uphold. I'm sure to a certain extent that plays into it as well. But that thing that we just played, the Ukrainian thing, I mean, if it's real, if that's real footage, what are some explanations? Because that doesn't look like your stereotypical UAP, whether the old school like UFOs or the new sleek like Tic Tac and flying propane tech type things. That's wild. That's like some Flash Gordon stuff right there, man. You know what I'm saying? A ball with what looks like a thermal dot, and it obviously thermal artifacts are hard to read, but I've seen the still frames where people have slowed that down, and it looks like an eye momentarily, and that dot in the very center of it. I mean, what are some possible explanations for that? Mechanical craft, talking about an actual interdimensional entity. What do you guys think?
I mean, it could be if you want to go mechanical with it, you could be looking at multiple exhaust ports on something, stabilization, but that doesn't work. That because of the what we perceive as that radiation downdraft or whatever that is, that thermal downdraft that's been detected there. That would be all across this thing in all dimensions. So would you be looking at a big fog patch if that was the case? Isn't that about right, Joe?
Theoretically, it just depends on where the exhaust outputs are.
Yeah.
If it was directional to keep it this way, to keep it vertical, it'd be conical. Just like, but that's again looking at conventional physics and propulsion, like what we know about propulsion at this point. And I can speak to propulsion. I used to build aircraft. For anybody who's not familiar, we would expect to see some kind of exhaust if there's a propulsion system, at least a propulsion system that we would know how it operates. Like I would like to have seen maybe a still shot from a regular camera of this to see if that haze at the bottom was even visible to the naked eye. If that was invisible to the naked eye, then that would purely be some form of thermal haze or or downdraft of some kind of exhaust.
Can you guys hear me now in the chat? Chat was saying that they could not hear me.
Yeah, we lost you for a minute. We can hear you now.
You went garbled there for a bit.
We overloaded the system.
We
obviously.
overloaded the system. They're trying to stop the signal. CIA is listening to Joe. All good. Lady Wolf says all good.
Now I had it muted while I was trying to, while you were talking, I had it muted. Everybody's like, I can't hear Jesse either. I was talking to Joe.
We're like
troubleshoot.
We're like the
yeah,
worst.
I was trying to, I saw you guys working, so I was trying to kind of talk a little long there to give you some time
keep
to
it rolling, Joe. But we use the same camera that we use on field investigations to like stream from. We've got such a slapdash like operation here. I think I'm going to break down and actually buy a dedicated camera so I'm not constantly hooking this one up and unhooking it and everything like that. Every time I want to do that, though, a new piece of like field investigation equipment comes up that I need, and then it just
we just had to get a new thermal. So
our thermal housing started going, but you know it's just weird, and I don't know. I mean, it's cool that they released this if it's legit. I mean, you saw that Japan came out, I think today or yesterday, and said that they are going to start trying to release some of their UAP files that they have as long as they don't interfere with national security. So it looks like some of the other countries out there might be releasing some real like meat and potatoes type footage at this point, you know.
Makes you wonder why, doesn't it, Joe?
It really
it's weird, man. I mean, I think you guys were backstage when I was talking about this, but you know, the talk of the Collins elite has been going around for like decades, you know. You know, that there's that segment of the government that just really thinks they're doing literally God's work by keeping this stuff tapped down and hidden.
The religious men in black. Yeah.
Yeah. And I wonder that maybe other countries that don't, you know, that are much different than we are culturally, they might not have those same constraints under them. So, you know, you may see some countries where they don't have that foreign equivalent of the Collins elite, which at this point, I'm pretty sure that some variation of that exists. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's just a, you know, like a rumor or just like a made up creepypasta. You know, I think that there is, maybe they're not called the Collins elite, but I think that there is an organized group.
Yeah, there's definitely a clandestine group of power holders that are of a very religious proclivity.
So yeah, man, I don't know, but as soon as I saw that Ukrainian thermal footage, I was just going, that's not what I expected, man. That's not when I heard that Ukraine was releasing and they said it was spiky. I'm going, well, maybe it's just like a flying spike, you know, something with like a very like, you know, tapers down to like kind of a needle point, you know. And then I saw that and I'm just like, what the hell?
But it looks like, I mean, it looks like the chandelier footage from, what is that? Is that 2000? When is that chandelier footage?
Joe, you said the chandelier footage was from when?
23.
23.
Yeah.
So, well, he released this in 23, I think is when he first released it.
Really? Okay.
He said and the guy's name is Flash, by the way. That's his nickname.
Oh,
so,
great.
maybe that's where that Flash Gordon kind of comparison kind of got seated in my mind. But he released this in 2023, and then I guess he re-released it right now.
Well, I can say that it was out there, or at least there was rumors of it being out there because I heard about this.
Yeah.
Then from someone who was very familiar with that, and not that particular case, but familiar with the war at the time, and you know, but and there was UFOs. That's So that's all I can tell you. There were UFOs reported over the area, and that was in the early days of the war. And then right after that, that's when there was a lot of talk of drones, and that's where we kind of settled out on was drones, and then everything became drones after that, if you remember correctly.
This is all really interesting that this is all coming out right when all of the media build up to Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day is happening too. They're showing previews for that at major sporting events and everything. They're really showing that to audiences that generally wouldn't be interested in that sort of media as well. So they're really targeting like the normal, football fan and everything like that. They're showing it at events like that. It's not really specified to the audience you would expect it to be targeted towards. So would you say that sort of this is going hand in hand as sort of like a revelation of the method where they're showing it to us in media, they're showing it to us in the news, they're pushing it towards something. Would you say that that's going hand in hand as part of this whole overall arcing disclosure narrative?
There's a reason for all of this.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. There is a reason for all of this, and that's not based upon hearing it from someone on online. There's something coming and stuff like that. Right now, we had this conversation back as far as as soon as we started seeing the rollout, of all the we're gonna have the hearings, and why are we talking about this after 70 some years? All of a sudden now, there's only 2 strategic reasons that you would do that.
And then when we saw some of the names of the people who were involved, and they had direct links to the original Star Trek TV series.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking at something that has been a public assimilation for decades.
That's the word.
And slowly getting people used to the idea of not being alone, there being something out there. And you never know. You got the 7 sisters are out there in space, and if you get them all to come visit, you're going to get at least lucky with one of them.
Now you're talking our audience's language there, man. Go. So yeah, they it's I know a lot of our audience, like, UFOs are really not a lot of, like, the major interest for a lot of people. And to be honest, for years it wasn't mine either. I was into Bigfoot. I thought Dogman was silly. Come on, man, werewolves running around the woods, that's ridiculous.
Same
and the
thing.
UFO stuff, I thought there was something there, and I was familiar about the basics, Roswell, Travis Walton, all of that stuff. It just didn't really interest me that much. And then I just really, you start to look at it, even if you think that Sasquatch or just like cryptids on the ground are a completely separated phenomenon from UAPs and UFO type stuff, okay? That there's no interconnection in your mind whatsoever. They're not all part, different cogs in this high strangeness wheel. You don't subscribe to, like, John Keel thinking that they're just separate manifestations of a singular force. You just think that there's no connection between any of them. Well, even if you think that, there's still a connection between this stuff, because the fact that sitting U.S. politicians are discussing this stuff seriously, and every week it seems like more major news programs are doing serious reports on this, not the stuff where they just kind of snicker and they play the X-Files thing and they got their goofy graphics of, like, cartoony alien grays and all of that. And, if we get some real headway on this and they start releasing some real serious stuff, the nitty gritty that's on there, you don't know what else is buried in there. If you look at some of the stuff, like, the Skinwalker Ranch stuff that came out, it's got, Skinwalkers at the Pentagon. Yeah, that's mostly detailed with, like, the high strangeness around Skinwalker Ranch, mostly from a UAP perspective. But there's some, like, Dogman stuff buried in there. They had upright canid creatures around their homes at certain times. There were
smoked.
Yeah, and it's so you have to just start paying attention to this, because quite honestly, UFO disclosure, alien disclosure is the best method right now for blowing the lid off of all of this stuff.
And it could be, that UFO, UAP disclosure is the gateway drug to possible cryptid disclosure.
How many people out there right now think all of this stuff is ridiculous? And then you prove that there is something to the UAP phenomenon. Then they start to go, well, what else have I been lied to about? What else is real out here? And that's where the other stuff, no matter what your own individual area of interest is, you're going to get dragged into the forefront with that, man.
And you guys were kind of the first to really hammer home that cross spectrum theory that everything is all connected. This is something that we all discussed back when I was on the show with you guys.
Yeah.
That everything is connected. It's always been connected. And there's been this major compartmentalization that's gone on with people who are looking into these subjects that we've not really advanced very far because of that compartmentalization. And that there's this sort of unified theory that was proposed and gone around, and you're seeing that there's so many commonalities between each of these fields that there's no separation between them.
And I think a lot of people were willing to kind of sit around and, like, theorize about this Keel type stuff, that this is all interactive, but Joe and Ron were the first to kind of really get out there and go, okay, well, let's do some field research on this. You know what I'm saying? Let's not sit around and talk about it. Let's go out into these areas where high strength is happening and document, you know, the variety of weird stuff that's
and throw
going
the
on.
kitchen sink at it.
Because you guys have caught in the areas that you've looked in. There's an area called Wineberry that Joe and Ron have been researching for years. And you guys correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but you guys have found evidence of stereotypical Bigfoot activity.
Yeah.
UAPs, what you would consider almost paranormal activity. Didn't you guys catch some EVPs out there as well that time?
It was our second or third trip out there. We had some electronic stuff waiting because Beth had some strange recordings that she had detected using a recorder we gave her, which was actually a recorder that you recommended me to get to use out in the field. And so we saw the price on them, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna get Beth a couple of these. And we snuck them out there in the field with her. And she had some really weird EVPs that came across. We had some weird fuzz, I think is what we got. We had some weird fuzz that was detected on audio. And then again, when we were filming for Paranormal Horizons, we had a sound that was, it sounded like you had 1,000 pissed off bees.
That's a good way.
But there wasn't a single insect. Like I'm a master naturalist as well. So I'm looking, they're filming and they're doing her interview, and we have this beautiful field of spring daisies that are out, but it's still 45, 48 degrees on this day we're there. We're wearing long sleeves and comfortable. So then we're looking, and we're Maria's looking at me, I'm looking at Ron, we're all kind of like, what is that sound? And I have my phone, and I've got a really good phone camera. So I'm zooming in 10 times optical zoom on some of these flowers. And I'm like, I hear there should be bees here, that we have all these flowers. So I started looking around with my camera, and there's not even a single anything flying around these flowers. And so I was like, that's odd. Then it kept going. So that was a weird happening we had. It was auditory.
1,000 Pissed Off Bees was the name of my band in high school.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a really good
There was a
one.
lot of buzz about your first show.
Oh,
Say, I'm
That's
not
a good
done.
one.
Hey, so our buddy JD Smooth threw this up. Isn't some of the scientists that went missing working on a new propulsion system? No, you guys are familiar with that, obviously, and I know you're familiar with the fact that China's going through the same thing right now.
Yep.
And that there are rumors that on like the weekly call that Trump and Putin have, that Putin basically accused him of killing Russian scientists that were involved with some pretty exotic studies. I mean, what do you guys think about? I mean, obviously there's something there.
Yeah, people keep bringing up the missing scientists issue.
Yeah. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
there's something going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then my personal thoughts are a little bit more nefarious.
Yeah, but you actually took time to make complete.
I did. I made a huge chart. I made a big conspiracy wall.
Sorry about that. Yeah,
That's a thing.
you did.
So I think that the 5 of those scientists are all directly connected to McCaslin.
Mm-hmm.
So with that said, I think the rest of them were just, I don't want to call them cannon fodder, but I think they're a smokescreen. Their deaths were a smokescreen. The missing scientists are all directly connected to McCaslin. The other ones didn't really have that connections.
Mm-hmm.
The ones who are missing, officially missing, no bodies, nothing like that, they all have a direct connection to McCaslin and subsequently Los Alamos.
Do you think that they have been just killed, or do you think they've been whisked off somewhere and they're working on something out of the public eye?
The latter.
So, and the general that he's referring to too has been constantly. I mean, that's who. What's his name? Blink 182 guy. Having a hard time remembering stuff tonight. Yeah, that's the general that he used to basically said was filtering him information, and everybody thought that he was crazy and making stuff up. Tom DeLonge,
Yep.
And there's no way that a general is talking to Tom DeLonge. What the hell? And it turned out so there was a general talking to him the entire time. And they were trying to use his popularity as like a vehicle to get some of this stuff out, Yeah. So you think they've been whisked away somewhere? Do you think that they are working on
Wouldn't there be a like a less conspicuous way to whisk them away?
That's what I was kind of going to right now. Do you think that these methods are because there's some desperation taking place right now, and people feel that they're in kind of a race against time, and it's no hold barred?
That's a good way to put that, isn't it?
It could be a race against time, could be a way to put it. And the reason I think that it to the general public, not to the folks with red yarn and pictures hanging all over their background here.
People like us, you mean? So.
Right, exactly. We're that's where the smoke screen of the other dead scientists that some date back 12, 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they were all working on similar fields. Okay. Why would the media just happen to pull them? Why would they dragnet all these guys 13, 14 years? If you're looking for somebody who's doing something right now, you're going to be looking from today to the past maybe 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody who's gone missing is in that 2-year window to current day. The ones who are murdered, some of those, like I said, go back a dozen years or more.
Yeah.
And I think that is to the general public. It's not as conspicuous because you have all they're just dead.
Mm-hmm.
All these other ones are dead. They're probably just dead too. And
so
I think
that's would cause everybody to stop looking, stop digging it.
Well, it's already out of the news cycle pretty much, Jess. Think about it. And once something's out of the news cycle for a week, it's gone until it's revived again,
We talk about that all the time. The news cycle is so rapid at this point. When people say, oh, the American population couldn't handle these things being proven real, I'd be like, they'd be over in a week, man.
Yeah.
Unless there's something that just shakes like the foundations of like our reality. And you hear that all the time. You hear every major player that's in this stuff talk about how, and it's always phrased differently, the truth is indigestible, it's something that people can't comprehend. You'll have basically, people's just complete understanding of the entire world, just like, those foundations will crumble. And I'm always going, well, you see, you're claiming that you know about it, and you seem like you're dealing with it okay, I could see if maybe.
Well, I'm different, Joe.
Yeah, exactly. So what are your thoughts on that, guys? What do you guys think about when people allude to the fact that the average person, American or otherwise, couldn't handle the truth of this, that it would literally, it would be basically the end of the world as they know it to find out what's really going on?
It will be
a possibility, or do you think that's like a smokescreen? And if it is a possibility, what do you think the possibility? What are some of the possibilities of what that could be?
It will be. Mm-hmm. And why I say that is the world that is right now. It's a closed off system. We are it. That's it. Once you add, what's that?
I said pale blue dot.
Pale blue dot. And thank you, Joe. Exactly. Everything that is right there on that, right? That's it. That's all that there is. That's all there ever was. All your history is right there in that one little spot. So if you really think about that, the day that actual, real, undeniable disclosure, we are not alone, never have been, is dropped, everything changes. The world essentially does end at that point and restart. It is almost like an Ouroboros, isn't it? It's just a constant cycle of these creations and destructions, except for it doesn't have to be a destruction of, actual physical destruction. But it is an actual tearing down of old ways and a rebuilding of everything from this point on. So everything's going to change. What will that look like? I mean, there's people who are going to lose their minds. We know this for a fact. We saw some of the nonsense, the whole, it's demons. It's this, it's that. There's no proof of any of that, by the way.
And there's a total lack of understanding of what demons actually are.
That too.
That is something that is completely lost on 98% of the American populace. It is a thing that is vastly understood in the Eastern world from a very early age, but most of American, they get it from pop culture. That's where they've got their demonology from.
That's a good way to put that. But it is extremely, in my opinion, it's going to be something that causes some serious cultural shock. Well, so you and me, it's not going to bother us. You know this. We're okay with the idea that just in case, this turns out to be real, maybe we're the aliens. There you go. I said it. Because there is that possibility that Earth was seeded at some point. Ancient astronaut theory 101 right there. Is that really going to change anything for me? No. Is it going to change anything for you? No, it's not. But is it going to change anything for your guy who delivers your mail or the lady who works at the post office? It could.
Yeah. You got to keep in mind how many people are actually influenced on a daily basis or have been taught by growing up the religiously skeptic.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily religious people, but the religiously skeptic, that everything's fake. If it was real, we'd be able to see it, touch it, feel it. They're stuck in the five senses worldview rather than the vast strangeness that we actually exist in.
And it's that they have an overwhelming confidence in that too, that there is nothing beyond what they can see, hear, feel, touch, anything. That there is nothing beyond that, and they are very, very confident in that. Even if you show them something that breaks that, you can't get them out of that because they absolutely refuse to expand their mind beyond that.
What's a comfort zone, Jesse? They're comfortable there. That's the safe place that they were raised. That's the safe place that they know. And once you change that,
and it gives them some sort of superiority. They feel like they have some sort of mental superiority.
There's no bigger superiority complex than that of like just a real aggressive skeptic in this sort of stuff. Do you know what I'm saying? So I always talk about it. I hate golf. That's a running joke on this channel. I don't hang out in golf forums all day long telling everybody how stupid they are. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a waste of time.
You should.
I should. I'm going to start. And
it could be a new hobby.
But I always wonder how much of that is, we know that some of that's real because that's how people are.
Yeah.
But I do also wonder if we could just kind of peek behind the curtain, how much of that is like a non-organic response to this stuff. Mm-hmm. That there's like some actual manipulation of public opinion through social media. I know all that happens. And as far as like that, just that indigestible truth on that, the things that always got me would be, I think that we would handle better something like finding out, okay, we're the aliens. We were seeded here by something else. Or even that there was some sort of like genetic manipulation, eons ago that took place that kind of like accelerated our mental development. For me, the things that would cause panic would always be the David Jacobs stuff, that there's literally like aliens walking amongst us. I don't think that's something that could be, because that would legit cause panic in the streets, man. That would cause that. And then the fact, the whole prison planet thing that, that we're basically, what is it, loosh that they talk about? We're basically, we're containers for something that's harvested every so often, and there's nothing we can do about it. And dying is really no escape. I mean, that I could see would. But at the same token, though, I could understand the David Jacobs wrote a book called, is it Walking Among Us or Walk Among Us, where he talks about alien hybrids actually out walking the streets. That could be something I could see the government knowing about. But like the whole like soul harvesting thing, I'm like, how the hell would they know that?
Right.
Even if they were told by another intelligence, we can't trust that. But
I mean, we can all stand here and say that those who are working, like not necessarily working because I'm a government worker, but those who are the shot callers and the policymakers and writers, those are a pretty soulless bunch. So it wouldn't shock me if they were even in on that game.
Well, I mean, I think that's, they talk about why are some people so resistant to disclosure, and we've talked about some of those theories, but part of it is because a lot of people don't want their own actions coming to light that they may have taken. And it might have been, some of them may have come into it with the best of intentions. Yeah. I'm doing this for the greater good, but I've done some terrible things that were illegal, immoral, reprehensible. Others have just probably done things that are equally bad just for personal gain at this point. And, I think that's a huge motivator for a lot of the people that are kind of, at the controls of this stuff right now, is that they don't want to be dragged before some sort of like, Nuremberg trial,
Which the only way that this is all going to come out clean as a whistle which, and Ron and I have talked about this, and I think Joe, you were in it. We briefly talked about that last time you jumped in with us, was if there's a blanket amnesty, because there's not just war crimes, there's crimes against humanity that have very likely been committed in the collection of this information, crafts, biologics. But I mean,
there's intergalactic crimes.
It theoretically, yeah.
It goes all the way to the top.
All the way. And
There's
then some.
Transdimensional crimes.
There you go. We can keep going. There aren't words to define the crimes that may have been committed over this.
Yeah.
I got excited because I thought you were talking about worms for a second.
I did too. I was like, "There's no worms. Worms are government spies.
They could be."
But you keep hearing about the Truth and Reconciliation committees, and I'm going, come on, guys. If a tenth of this is true, some of this stuff, there's no reconciling any of this.
I think you got a huge breakdown in. You've got a huge breakdown in the trust that we've put into our leaders at that point, because they've told us for so long that there's nothing there. How are they going to reconcile all this that now, okay, yeah, there is, Yeah.
So we're coming up on the top of the hour. What do you guys, 2 questions for you guys. What's your prediction for the next year as far as this stuff goes? And best, that's what I'll ask you. What is your prediction for it? I was going to say best case and worst case scenario, but let's just say your prediction for the next year as far as all of this disclosure type stuff goes. And who do you think right now, this is putting you on the spot right now, but who do you think that of all of the talking heads out there right now are the ones who are closest to the truth, maybe understand the truth of this the best, and are approaching this with the best of intentions? David Grush, whoever at this point. So just jump in, either one of you, and let me know.
Good, Joe.
Okay. Well, so part of that whole web that I created goes to the last part of that question. Right? We'll hit the first parts first.
Yeah.
But there is a definite power broker.
There's a name, isn't there?
There is a definite power broker, and that gentleman's name is George Knapp. He is directly connected to every program that has existed since the 80s and probably a little bit before. Every organization, every research group, he has been connected to the heads of those agencies. He has had direct communication with folks like Lakatsky, folks like obviously we've got Bob Lazar, who really put George out there in front of the public primarily, but you've got Bob Lazar, Lakatsky, you've got Bigelow, you've got John Lear, you have oddly enough McCaslin, you have all these people that are directly connected to him. Joe McMoneagle, Robert Monroe, it all ties back. Hal Puthoff, that's another big guy. When it comes to knowing what's really out there, Hal Puthoff and Lakatsky are probably the 2 top dogs, but the one that probably holds the most power as far as just saying, you know what, if something happens to me, it all comes out. It's George.
You think he's got a dead man switch set up in case anything happens to him?
He's said it publicly.
Oh, he has. Okay. So
they have one. They never said what it is, but
right.
There allegedly is one. And if you base it off of what Joe's saying, then there's a pretty good chance that it does lead to George. And
the direct quote, I believe, was, "If something ever happens to me, it all comes out."
So, all I can tell you guys is where we're going with this. You ain't seen nothing yet. I think that you've got 2 schools, though. Here's the problem. This has always been a battle between 2 forces, and you've always been able to see it. And there's always been the push and the pull. every time that something came out, we'd always get a retraction the next, couple of days. We'd see this back and forth thing with the skeptics. We're seeing it right now. They're slugging it out right now over things. The hope is that we can keep bringing out things that are harder and harder to dismiss. That's the point of multiple validations, and that's the point of where it gets really, really hard for these guys to say, oh, it's swamp gas, oh, it's lens flare, oh, it's this, because now you've got to explain sensor data, which conveniently is all gone in these, if you haven't noticed.
Yeah,
Okay?
all the HUD heads up display information completely scrubbed.
Yeah.
Apparently, even altitude is classified.
Apparently, that's classified. I don't know why, but we need data that can be looked at in those ways. And if so, then we're going to move forward. But if not, guys, it's easy to just squash this whole thing again. It's going to come back up eventually. But right now, you're in a really terrifying spot, because if they want to officially destroy disclosure, they are sitting in the primary spot to do it, because all they got to do is say, well, president ordered us to do this. We did it. There's nothing here. Let's move on. No aliens. And the only people who are actually going to counter that are people like us. And we probably aren't going to make much of a headway, honestly, without what's happening right now. So
the only other option would be a catastrophic
disclosure. And if that happens,
which that would be the kill switch type of disclosure. That would be also something just showing up that you can't brush under a rug anymore. Yeah, that would be the equivalent of, like, the hypothetical mothership.
Sure.
Yeah. Then that's, and when, again, just to kind of paraphrase for the audience, that catastrophic disclosure is a disclosure event that happens that the government doesn't control. Right. It's either David Grush shows up at Good Morning America and he's got an alien gray body in the trunk, and they show
exactly
it, and they where it's done by people, or the phenomenon itself shows itself in such a way that it's undeniable. Think Independence Day, when the motherships are coming down over every major city, on the world. You couldn't deny that at this point.
Right.
Something that happens that there's no sweeping it under the rug. There's no saying it's AI or special effects or, the usual kind of like excuses that get trotted out, or just no longer hold water for it.
No, you're 100% right. And it does seem like, if you look at the data, this is building. So something is happening. I'm not saying something's coming. I'm saying something is happening. Something is going to happen. Something is going to break. There's going to be an event that cannot be covered up. We've been saying this for a very long time now. And I think that's where you're at. You're at that point where we got to get everybody okay with this really fast. Because look, I mean, you and me both our teams have proven at this point that there's something there, and that it's intelligent, and that it can be communicated with.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Crazy. All right, guys. Well,
I think that puts us on a.
We're gonna wrap it up.
So
Joe and Ron, I just shared I thought I just shared it. Did I not just share it?
You did.
Yeah, it's in there. I see it in the chat.
Okay, it's in the chat.
There it is.
Guess what? It's shared twice now. If you guys like this sort of stuff, if you like any sort of like flavor of high strangeness, you got to really check it out.
With a focus on data and provable things.
Again, this is not, you're not going to get wild campfire stories from Joe and Ron. You're going to get data. We may not know what the data is at the moment, but there's a there. And that's what you're going to get over on the Wild and Weird, channel. So if you're into this stuff at all, if you like our stuff, you're going to love their stuff as well. We're big fans of them. We're friends of ours. We love these guys. We appreciate you guys coming on tonight with almost no notice whatsoever. So you guys, what's next for y'all? What do you got in the works? You're doing your series now, Strange Realities.
Yeah.
When's the next episode of that coming out?
If all goes well, you're going to get to see episode 2, hopefully within about 2, maybe 3 weeks at this point, where I'm looking at.
Fantastic.
And we might have a little bit more disclosure in there than you get from the government. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, some of the footage that we've released is in better resolution than what's actually coming out right now. So it's pretty interesting stuff, guys. Ada Cox says you might get the Glow and Joe story. Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
But Oh, can we get a documentary with Hellbent, Holler, and Wild and Weird investigating the Brown Mountain Lights?
I would love that.
That would be something,
awesome.
wouldn't it? Throw everything. Yeah, that would be amazing.
Throw the whole kitchen sink at it and see what we come up with. We tried to do that before, but we couldn't deploy a lot of the equipment that night because of the presence of methods on mushrooms that night. But we'll go back up there one time, the four of us, and see if we can, like I said, throw everything
If
out.
we get the method, if we get the folks that are going off on mushrooms, we can maybe use them as a conduit. Like, you lay here on the table and listen to every word I say, and you just lay there and vibe out.
Yeah, we're going to hook you up to this EKG, and we're going to, EEG. Yeah, there you go.
All right, Tiger, you ready to take us on out?
Yeah, I'm going to take us on out. Thank you to Joe and Ron for joining us on Jesse's barely alive sick day. I appreciate you guys coming on at the last minute and kind of showing our audience that there is other people out there who are into data and really digging into these topics. I want to thank you guys for joining us, and make sure you are subscribed. If you are one of our audience members, make sure you are subscribed to Wild and Weird West Virginia. I'm going to put a link to their channel in the description, so go check them out. Check out their new series, Strange Realities. And we should have the second episode out soon. We'll, of course, let you all know when that's coming out. But thank you again, guys, for a very stimulating, exciting, and somewhat frightening conversation concerning disclosure and where we're headed next. I think that's about it. We're going to lead you guys out. You guys stay in the chat here for us. Joe and Ron, we're going to say goodbye to you guys privately, but I'm going to end the stream. Thank you guys for joining me. Hopefully I am better in the next couple of days, but we'll see.
If not, might be a brand new co-host here next
Brand
week,
new co-host. It'll probably be one of the hopefully the cat can produce the show for Joe. That'll be great. But all right, thank you guys for joining us. For Joe and Jesse, Ron and Joe, Joe, many a Joe. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Good night.